Morning, morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope you've got lots of lovely cards and flowers and chocolates and everything. Market's not having a very happy Valentine's Day, is it? Look out below. There's war on the cards. Very big drop at the open across the board. Market's not happy. Well, the stock market's not happy, put it that way. We'll see if that's start things to come today. But yeah, big drop, big drop. Morning, Mohammed. Mahmood, even. Yeah, big drop. I just shorted the DAX this morning at the open. Just took a little bit out of it, not a lot. But got in a couple of positions short. Hit TP at ADR. So we've already done ADR on the DAX this morning. Big move, big move, big move. Scary move. Big, scary move. Morning, Diamond. Morning, Andy. So, yeah, indices-wise, not looking good. Why is that highlighter again? Don't want highlighter. Yeah, big move down. Postman is sweating, Mark. Why is your postman sweating? Don't get that reference. You're going to have to explain that one. It's a new one on me. Yeah, so big drop at the open. We'll see what the market's going to make of this. But obviously things have escalated over the weekend with Russia. Not successful phone calls with anybody by the sounds of things. Yeah. Oil. If you want to buy oil, do it now. I'm not sure if I've got oil on here. Should have. If it does kick off, sanctions will be put on Russia. Russia will respond by restricting the pipeline. So the main gas and oil pipelines go through from Russia through the Ukraine to Germany and then to the rest of Europe. That will be cut off. Therefore, oil and gas prices will go skyrocketing. So if you want an investment, if you are expecting war, oil is the one. Because of the number of cards. Oh, I see. Morning, Neo. Morning, Simeon. So, yeah, Mark's postman is sweating, carrying around all his cards for Valentine's Day. When I was at school, we used to have a postbox put up on Valentine's Day. And all the boys and girls would go and post their cards in this magic postbox. I think it was in the by the where we have lunch at school. And then in the afternoon, all the cards would be dished out. And it was all the anonymous cards. Like, you don't know who they're from. And then obviously someone comes up and says, it was for me, because they need to know, obviously. But yeah, all good game, wasn't it then? Now it's just a commercial thing. But anyway. So yeah, sell-off City this morning. There are still enough excuses out there for the market to whipsaw. Yeah, well, market can do what it likes. No one controls the market controls us. So yeah, ADR hit at the moment on the DAX so far, and still going. Really wish I hadn't got out of that, but hey, just hit TP. So anyway, so this week, let's have a look at where we are this week. I'll do a little overview of this week, and then let's do a little recap of last week first. So last week we had loads and loads of movement. Just move that out of the way. And loads and loads and loads of profit. So this is, what am I on? H1M5 last week. Well, this month so far we're up 3%. Quite a lot closed out on Friday. Obviously, we had all the moves on Friday. So closed out Euro US dollar. Beginning. So yeah, Euro US dollar closed out those two. That's a bit. Why is that on the daily chart? M5. Sorry, what? Why is that showing daily out there? Okay. I'm scrolled out as far as I can on that one, so I can't really zoom out anymore. I just can. Sorry. Something's going really wrong with the zoom function on this MT4. Oh, it's because I'm not... There we go. Right. So couple of trades closed out on that one. That was a bit of a long one, that Euro US dollar, a bit of a long hold. But got out of those two. And Euro pound, got out of that one. You see that one there. So 2 positions on that one. Took a while, those euros to play out, and Euro CAD as well. That was the day before. So nice profit on the H1M5. H4M15 closed out so much last week. Nothing this morning. So we closed out 3.37 on Friday. So we're up 8.5% the month so far. New Zealand dollar Swiss. That was one hit trade. So we got in on last Thursday, got out Friday after the drop. CAD yen closed that one out as well. That was a similar sort of trade, in on the Thursday, out on the Friday. Pound yen as well, got out of that one. On the yen strength, massive yen strength this morning as well. Got in on that one on Tuesday. Got out before the drop on that, unfortunately. Odd CAD closed out a couple on that one as well. 2 positions and out after the drop. And Pound New Zealand closed that as well. So good moves there, buy there and exit. Trend pullback strategy did a similar sort of thing, as you can see, with Pound New Zealand, New Zealand Swiss, Aussie CAD, Aussie yen as well. We closed out that finally. That took ages, that Aussie yen. We got up to 5 positions on that one. Let's put that one on the chart so you can see it. Show the bad trades as well as the good ones. So that one took a while, that Aussie yen. Initial entry was down there, second entry, and then we got that little bit of a squeeze, so scaled in and back out of that one. And then COT bias closed out 3% as well, roughly the same trades. So we're all in profit across the board as well, which is nice. So yeah, really good week last week. See if we can continue it this week, but there's not an awful lot setting up. Just got out of Aussie CAD. There we go, it's just banked a bit more this morning. That's good timing, wasn't it? Aussie CAD. Just literally just exited that one right now. So really good week. Nice load of profit in the bank. Basically hit target already for the month this last week. So good theory, just disappear, but not going to. So DAX has come down this morning. All the yens as well come down massively this morning. In London so far, big drops on all the yens. Load of yen strength coming in. As you would expect, safe haven currency, war. Everybody moves to safe havens. So they're starting to move it into the yen today. So if you've got any yen shorts, you're going to be holding. Don't get out of these yen shorts, I wouldn't. Even if you've hit target on them and they are embedded on RSI. If we are going to have an invasion, there will be a load of money dumped into the yen, and the yen will strengthen, and for the foreseeable as well. So good start the moves there, but we'll see what happens. It's early days yet. We haven't had any invasion or anything happens, so we'll see what happens with that one. News this week. Today is a bit light. We've got Bullard and Lagarde speaking later. These were not forecast last week, so I'm not quite sure what these are actually about. Don't know if it actually says. It's a CNBC interview they're holding. Right, so that's a CNBC interview with Bullard, and Lagarde is speaking in Strasbourg. So they were not on the forecast for last week, so they've just popped on over the weekend. So be aware of those this afternoon. But apart from that, there's no other news today. We've got monetary policy for the Aussie tomorrow morning, early hours. So get some overnight movement on that. we've got PPI for the US dollar tomorrow afternoon. So that is the main one tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we've got CPI for the pound in the morning, CPI for the CAD. We've got US dollar retail and then FOMC. So Wednesday is the biggie. So everything's building up for Wednesday, basically. So we'll see what happens today. Now, obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with especially the yen and the US dollar early part of this week because of what's going on with Russia. But if we do see some movement this week, it could all well be reversed on Wednesday. So quite often when we have FOMC and large news days midweek, we get that midweek push and then we get what we call the midweek reversal. Other times, as we had last week, we get the accumulation midweek, early week, and then when the news kicks in, we get the massive movement, whipsaw, whatever they're going to do, which is exactly what we saw last week. So last week we had this scenario. See what we get this week. At the moment, it looks like everything's powering up. Yen's moving, US is moving this morning. Indices are dropping like crazy. So it looks like we're going to have a big push and then potentially a midweek reversal on Wednesday. So any moves that start to play out today could quite possibly be the moves for the week. Obviously, the other thing they do as well is on a Monday, they will move the market massively and then they will just basically dump it. So quite often we get an early Monday stop hunt, where we get ADR hits put in really, really early, and then they reverse it and run off the other way. So they're reaching for levels. So we'll have a look at the charts in a minute and see what we think is going on. Thursday, we've got Aussie dollar unemployment early morning as well. So we've got 2 Aussie dollars on early morning this week. We've got Tuesday and Thursday. We've got G20 on Thursday. That may well get rescheduled depending what happens on Wednesday. Apparently, Putin's scheduled to go to war on Wednesday. I don't know how true that is, but Wednesday's the day. In the old days, when you were having a war, you didn't tell them you were going to invade and give them a load of time to prep. But hey, maybe it's changed. I don't know. I've never been in the army. And Friday, we've got retail sales for the pound and retail sales for the CAD, home sales and a few other bits and pieces. So mainly Wednesday, FOMC. Now, the last few FOMCs we've had have been hit and miss. Sometimes we get absolutely nothing. Sometimes we get crazy moves. I don't think really it's going to be judged by what's said in FOMC this week. I think it's more likely to be what's going to go on with Russia and what's happening in Europe. So we'll see. But lots and lots of news this week. So really good market moving news events. So any RSI extensions we get, if you're getting into draw down on any positions, just be aware of when we've got news. Those news will be typically what we see getting us out of them. So commitment of traders this week, not an awful lot of change at all. We've weakened a little bit on the pound, not a great deal, but we've weakened a little bit. We are only just kind of positive on the pound, but it is positive. So looking for longs on the pound, looking for longs still on the New Zealand, and obviously looking for longs on the US dollar. Yen, no movement, slightly more negative, but that is obviously from last Tuesday. This figure is from last Tuesday. A lot's happened since last Tuesday. We'll see. So I wouldn't really pay too much attention to this week because we might find money piling into the Swiss and the yen this week, regardless of what the open interest is. So you'll probably find these will flip next week if that happens anyway. So everything else is pretty much business as usual. CAD still short, Euro still short, Aussie still short, and obviously long on those three. So there's your biases at the moment. Earnings wise, we had nothing much on Friday. We had nothing on Friday. And aftermarket, we've just got Arista today for the indices. Tomorrow, we've got some big aftermarkets with we've got Alibaba tomorrow, and then we've got Roblox aftermarket, which will be a big one. Airbnb obviously is fairly big as well, but from a Nasdaq perspective, and then got quite a bit on Wednesday, pre-market and aftermarket. So really, earnings are not going to start to kick in on the indices until Wednesday. So any market movement you're seeing today is nothing to do with earnings. It's to do with what's going on around the world at the moment, and it doesn't look positive, does it? No, They're not happy. I'm not going to jump in. I really want to short this, but I don't want to chase it down here. I want to see a pullback if we're going to chase it, if we're going to get into this. So US dollar this morning, big move. So what we were expecting to kick in last week, or what I was expecting to kick in last week on Thursday, has taken 2 days longer than expected, but it's all happening. So we're getting the movement to the upside. So anything you're in US dollar wise, obviously you should be longing the US dollar. That'll all be playing out for you if it didn't play out last week. So good moves on that. US dollar obviously just looking for new highs basically at some point soon. So we've got a few sticking points along the way that we're going to hit. So just, don't expect it to suddenly just go like that. We could well have a nice rally this week. And a continuation push, but expect some pullbacks along the way. But looking for longs on US dollar. Just keep your eyes on fib levels. So 61.8 roughly at ADR today. You're likely to get a load of people who think the US dollar is a short popping their sells in here. So we might see a pullback and then a push if we get up to there today. So good moves on the US dollar. RSIs, 4 hour, nothing extended. So everything that we were extended on, obviously last week, has all played out. We've banked it all, made a load of money on it. So we're waiting for more setups now. There's nothing new on 4 hour. So I've got no opportunities that I'm looking for at the moment today. On the hourlies, same thing. So these are all going to light up like a Christmas tree, I suspect, today, because we got some serious moves going in this morning. So I think we'll probably get some movement on those. But at the moment, obviously, there's nothing extended. So it's just a case of waiting, really, to see what happens today. So ADRs, we've already got some hit with the yens. So obviously the main mover this morning has been the yen. So we'll start off with the Aussie yen. Big push down. We're already at 100 ADR. Aussie New Zealand has also come down to 80. Oh, sorry, that's hit ADR high. That's off of New Zealand dollar. You've got to be very, very careful with the New Zealand dollar. Most brokers do this. I've noticed this on Axie, on Robo, on IC, on Darwin X. It's kind of a market thing where the New Zealand dollar, it's not the Aussie, it's the New Zealand. They dump big orders for some reason on the New Zealand dollar, but there's never enough liquidity to fill the orders. So you get this huge slip. So that to me is not really an ADR hit. It has come off of ADR beautifully, but not really an ADR hit. I don't think. This is kind of a weird candle. I'm always wary when I see these sorts of candles. It's basically a liquidity run. So it does look like they probably want to take it long. So you don't really want to be taking an ADR short when they've just done a liquidity run of the lows. You want to be looking for longs on that, really. How much have they taken out? They've taken the lot, basically. So that move there, they took the lot they took last week. Yeah. So we came straight down. I'll draw the line on. You'll see where we came to. So we tapped straight into this support resistance and bounced, basically, where we started this buying move. Yeah. So we accumulated for 2 days. Started the buy move. All the buyers' orders were set in there. They came back down. The buyers added to positions, pushed it straight back up again. So everybody that got long last week on the Aussie New Zealand has just been taken out. So that's not really an ADR hit for me. CAD yen, we've extended to 125, still coming down. Don't get in the way of this today. This is money flying into the yen. You don't really want to be getting in the way of the yen when it's powering up like this. We should have been short on it anyway. Out of most of my yens last week, in fact all of my yens last week, I think, on that drop on Friday. So this is a continuation move from Friday. So don't really want to be taking ADR reversals on the yen. If you are going to take them, make sure they're very extended. Start looking. I mean, anything can happen on this one, but I'd probably go 175 plus today if you do want to get along, and make sure it really has come down and we haven't had any accumulations on the way. So what you want to see if you're going to take these today is this. Yeah. collapse, no buyers whatsoever, no profit take moves on that at all, and then you're going to fade it by probably 30 to 50%. That's what you'll get. And then continuation down. So don't really get in the way of those. I wouldn't today. Swiss yen, same thing. We're just getting a nice bearish, bullish engulfing coming off of ADR at the moment on that one, but it's a yen. Euro yen, shorting it anyway. Pound yen, again, same thing. Don't get in the way. New Zealand yen. So up to you if you want to take any of these. But this is... Remember what we were talking about on Friday when I was talking about climbing up the stairs and falling down the elevator shaft, yeah? This is exactly what I mean. Yeah. In 2 days, we have undone over a week of gain. And this happens all the time when we get these RSI extensions, yeah, where we get pushed up and we get extended. So far, the profit take move is catastrophic because the profit take starts and then everybody sees the profit take continue. Then the sellers sit in on it. Then everybody that isn't out of their buys goes, I better get out now, otherwise I'm going to go back to break even, and it just forms this snowball. But this is not something you want to get in the way of. This is safe haven money moving ahead of Russia. So long it at your peril. So that's it really for analysis this week so far for the week ahead. We've got loads of news. Obviously, it's going to be eyes peeled on Russia this week because it's going to have so much effect on the market in general. In times of war, you get money pulled out of the stock market, you get money pulled out of any currency that isn't safe haven, and you get a lot of money piled into tangible assets like gold, which skyrocketed on Friday. So you want to be longing things like gold. You want to be longing things like the yen, the Swiss franc, and typically the US dollar, but it depends how involved the US gets. Obviously, they tend to get involved in everything with conflict. So, just be aware. But times like this, you kind of want to be sitting on your hands a little bit. If you're running the EA, I would make sure that you haven't got it set to take RSI or H1 extensions long on the yen. Just in case, because we could see a sustained push on that. So we'll have a quick look through all the pairs, though, this morning. Let's just see how these indices are going. Yeah, they are going. They're gone. So, end of the world, basically, at the moment. Nasdaq's come down hard. S&P's come down hard, Dow's coming down hard, DAX coming down harder. Obviously, DAX being Europe being under pressure. That's going to come out faster than anything else at the moment. So all down across the board. Bitcoin and Ethereum are holding up at the moment, which is interesting. No movement on them just yet. So let's have a look at everything and where we are. Has anybody got anything in specific they want to look at, pairs-wise or anything this morning? Let me know if there's anything specific you're in. If you're in drawdown on anything, got any positions on that you're in trouble with or anything, happy to always look at those as well. Don't have to look at your individual positions, obviously, but just what you're in. What's your view on how an invasion would impact the euro? It's not going to be good, put it that way. War is good for sectors. You have sectors which do well during conflict. Manufacturing, aerospace, that sort of stuff. And the rest of it, anything to do with finance and economy, doesn't tend to do very well. But it's very difficult to pinpoint what is going to happen to an individual currency, because it all depends on what happens with how they get involved. The thing we have now, which we haven't had with conflict in the past quite as much, especially with European conflict, we haven't had any for a long time really. Is we now have NATO, and we're all in NATO. So it's a case of you have an obligation now to go and step in. So I'm not sure how much the market would factor in the fact that is going to happen. It's difficult to tell. But the things you really want to concentrate on are where money is going to flow into and flow out of in panic. So in a risk-on environment and a risk-off environment. So we will be entering into a risk-off environment when we have any kind of conflict. So money will move into safer locations, basically. So yen is always a safe place to put money. Gold is always a safe place to put money because it's a tangible asset and it will go up. So the rest of it, you tend to short, I think, is kind of the rule. But it hasn't happened yet, and what we're seeing with the yen this morning is panic. And this is typical panic. And with the stock market, it's like, oh my God, just in case, I don't want my 25 million investment going wrong. So let's liquidate it, stick it into cash, which is the best place to put cash, which is less going to be impacted by a conflict, Japan. So it's, that's basically it. Everything else is kind of run for the hills type thing, isn't it? Most of the time. So we'll see. Caution this week, basically, is the name of the game, because you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of something going this way. So I would recommend probably shorter term trades, more scalping than position trading, unless you're in positions already or something is getting massively extended, which is not yen or US based, because those are the guys that are going to move the most. So things like the odd and the New Zealand, the CAD, the pound, you'll probably be a lot safer with those than US and yen trades this week, I think. But we don't know. You can never tell. But equally, when this happens, when we do get this type of movement happening, it does get undone. Yeah, the market has to. Everybody that's doing this, at some point is going to do that. The thing with conflict is it tends to be longer term, so you get that. And it kind of stalls a little bit. So that doesn't help you as a position trader. So I'll be evaluating what positions I'm in today, and probably disabling the EA on anything yen based, just in case. Because obviously it's automatically going to see that we're getting extended, and it's going to want to take trades. So let's whiz through all the pairs and see where we are. Not all NATO members are willing to enter if war does break out. Biden has said no US troops will be deployed in Ukraine, as it would start World War III. I thought we had to with NATO. I thought NATO was kind of all together. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know a massive amount about it, but I just assumed that it was all in the same boat. But if that's the case, then it may well not have a massive impact. But they will do sanctions. I mean, Biden has said they will impose sanctions on Russia if they do invade, and Russia obviously will counter. The problem with Russia's counter is they control the oil and the gas. So we kind of need it, which means that everything that we will get will be boat-ridden, i.e. oil and gas via boat, not pipeline. And obviously that puts the cost up. So either way, I think oil and gas will increase, and obviously people will start to put it into things like platinum and gold. But maybe it won't affect the US dollar as much then if they're not going to do anything about it. But we'll see. I mean, this is why you need Forex Factory news, and you need to keep your eyes peeled on this, Whenever you see anything happen that is a big spike, this is your first port of call, is to come here and see what is going on. And that will tell you what really you need to do. Worst case scenario, if you don't understand what this says, which a lot of the time, a lot of us don't, because we don't know the long-term impact, sit on your hands. You're better off not being in the market. Being flat is a position. Long, short, flat. They're all positions in the market. You're better off being flat because that way you cannot lose any money. Yeah. Capital preservation is your number one goal. If you haven't got capital, you can't trade. If you put it in the market and you don't know what you're doing because of what's going on with world economics, go flat. You can't get hurt then, can you? Really, but we'll see. This week will be interesting from many perspectives. But so far, it looks like there is money flowing, obviously, to the yen. We'll have a look at what the Swissy's up to as well. Yep, massive flood into the Swiss franc as well. So again, Swiss franc, the yen, they are the safe havens. There is more flowing into the yen than there is into the Swiss franc. Euro Swiss, pound Swiss, US dollar Swiss. So again, Swiss franc, you might want to not stick the EA on any Swissy pairs either. Swissy and yen. So we'll whiz through everything. So Aussie CAD. Aussie is a short. We are up at the 72 bounce, which we got a lovely bounce off. Reversal alert. We've retested with a 3-bar reversal on that one, and we're coming down very nicely. So there's your 3-bar reversal. Big push up. Doji. Down candle. So that's a push, stall, drop. After the retest. So that's a really nice reversal alert and retest at the 72 moving average. We're just down the 24 at the moment, running into a little bit of accumulation at potential support. So we'll see what happens here, but nice reversal there. If you got on that one last week, you're obviously already out of it anyway, potentially. So nice move there. Andy, Ukraine's ambassador to the UK has said Ukraine might be willing to drop its push for NATO membership in order to prevent an escalation in the situation. Yeah, well, that would be obviously the ideal. Is not going to war. I think for most of the Ukrainians. I was amazed at the obviously the pictures this weekend of like that 70-year-old being given a AK-47 or whatever it was. They're willing to stand up, aren't they? I'm not sure I would really stand in front of a Russian invasion running towards me. I'd probably run the other way, but yeah, that'd be obviously ideal. The market has to ignore rumor. Yeah, it's like if you think of yourself in the situation where you are a multi-millionaire or you are a hedge fund controlling trillions of pounds worth of pensions. And that sort of thing. You can't take a gamble on things, on this that might happen. You have to ignore what is speculation and go with what is actually happening. And what is actually happening is there's 130 Russian troops poised for invasion. So the market is reacting as if that is going to happen, worst case scenario. Best case scenario, they go, nah, actually, we're not going to join NATO. And Russia goes, no problem, we'll turn around and go home. Then what will happen? Every single thing that you've just seen happening right now will just go boing and pop back the other way, which is fine. But you've got a choice of take a risk, high risk, or not. So the market has to kind of do what is the safest thing to do until they get sort of confirmation, really, which I think is going to come this week. So Aussie CAD we've looked at. Aussie Swiss obviously is coming down hard. Aussie dollar is a short. Swiss franc is always going to be long when it powers up. So the Swissy goes in pushes like this. Yeah. This is now obviously a push happening at the moment on the Swissy. So good moves on the Aussie Swiss short, which you should be short anyway. Aussie yen, you should be short. Obviously that is coming down nicely, but mainly off the back of the yen movement so far this morning. Aussie New Zealand is still stuck, and I've still got positions on Aussie New Zealand on my other EA H1 M5 account, and I've been stuck in it since we had this propulsion break above, which we never came out of. I've not quite had a pullback enough to get me out of the positions. But we are stuck now. If you look at this one from, let's zoom out a little bit on it so we can see. We had this sort of flat line before the break. And then we've pushed up and we've made new higher highs constantly until week before last. Last week, we didn't manage to make new highs. And so far this week, we've pushed up and tried and been rejected as well. So we are stuck at the moment up at this resistance. So I'm hoping this week we're going to get a push back down below the 24 to come and challenge the 72 again. So a little bit of either Aussie strength or a bit of New Zealand weakness coming through to push this down a little bit more. Looking to challenge sort of lows really and see if we can get a little bit of a market structure break to the downside. But we are stalling. So, you know, we've tried to get through this level now 4 times in total, and we haven't managed to. We have put in a new low as well. So the structure is starting to shift. We had this reversal alert, and since we put that reversal alert in, we've not wanted to go higher. So I'm hopeful that we're going to get a drop on this one. But obviously this is technically a long because the New Zealand dollar is this is technically a short because the New Zealand dollar is a long now on the COT report. So we should see some drop start to come in on this as we get a strength coming through in the New Zealand dollar. But at the moment, we're absolutely stuck. So I'll be looking for short opportunities on this if you're not already in it. But kind of back here was when you probably got in, and you know, we've been 4 weeks now. We haven't really had a decent exit. If you didn't get out straight away on it or on the second leg, you kind of been stuck in it a little bit, unfortunately. So still looking for shorts on this one. There's every opportunity that we do get this New Zealand dollar power up, and it's going to take it quite deep. So I think that's a nice looking short. But from a RSI extension perspective, you know, we haven't, since we were extended weeks ago, we've not really had any movement either way outside of the 70-30. We've just been kind of basing around the middle and just kind of very, very, very slowly grinding. So looking hopefully for some decent movement on that one. Aussie US coming down hard this morning on the US dollar strength that we're seeing coming through. This was a short anyway, so you would have been on this one last week. If you didn't get out on Friday, you certainly will be out now or getting out. CAD Swiss coming down at the moment. This one's been neutral, really difficult to trade this. Completely flat moving averages on this one. We have literally been accumulating for a month. We haven't gone anywhere at all. Always going to err on the side of a short with the Swiss franc if we've got no bias, because the Swiss franc will tend to power up very, very nicely as we're seeing at the minute, and we get these big drops. So looking for that sort of movement. We've obviously had it, but you've not had any real reason to get in. Last time was there, and obviously that one we got out of. So no real opportunities to get in on it, but nice short. Always would be short everything against the Swiss franc, because when the Swissy powers up, the Swissy really goes. So this obviously is the first, the start of the move on Friday. This is the continuation. So any kind of pullback on this, you can look for short opportunities. So if you wanted to drop down to M15, wait for us to push back, potentially could come all the way back up into here. But any kind of pullback, reversal alert, jumping short. CAD yen coming down. Everything's coming down against the yen. As I say, sit on the sidelines against the yen at the minute until we know what's going on. But if you want to get in short, it's a good short, but you are chasing it a little bit, obviously. So be prepared to go into some drawdown. Swiss yen. Swiss yen's stuck at the moment because obviously we've got money flowing into both of these currencies at the same time. So these are obviously just going into kind of a whipsaw and accumulation. So at the moment, this is technically kind of a long. Obviously, as I say, the Swissy always fancy the Swissy longer than shorter because its strength moves tend to be more powerful than the scale outs. So still probably like that. I would imagine. But again, not extended really. Would wait for extensions on it to take it long. Euros, always shorting the euros. Out of all of these last week, all the euros I got into, I'm out of. Euro odd is sideways. Would be looking for short opportunities on that. So any pushes, obviously we had that one last week, which we got out of. Euro CAD, same thing. Shorts, got out of the Euro CAD shorts last week. This one's holding up fairly nicely at the minute. We still haven't got down to the origin, basically, of this move, which is down here. I would expect to get back down to here at some point this week. Maybe sort of midweek. Depends what happens, obviously, but I would expect some movement down. Just see if we've got any OPEC this week. We've got crude on Wednesday as usual. We've got G20, haven't we? So yeah, there's no OPEC this week. So crude on Wednesday could affect the CAD. So look for sort of a move back down to here by sort of midweek. Euro Swiss short, always a short. This one's managed to poke its head out. We've been shorting this for absolutely ages on every opportunity we possibly could, every pop we got. This was no different. Excuse me. Nice big push down. We've broken through the recent support. So look for a pullback and drops on that one. If you're in it, obviously I'd probably hold it. So we're just getting this nice M pattern reversal back down to where we started, and then potentially pullback and continuation drop to the downside. Euro pound, looking for shorts. Pound is a long at the moment, so this is officially a short on the COT report as well. Again, we had that big euro spike, which was complete and utter nonsense, which is all being undone. So these are all plays that we had last week, which are all playing out. So we need to wait for them to reset, basically, either on the hourly or the 4 hourly. Any kind of pullbacks, look for short opportunities. Same with all the euros. Short all the euros until Lagarde comes out and says anything otherwise. Euro New Zealand, we've had obviously a weak New Zealand dollar, which has given the euro opportunity to kind of go into a very slow kind of trend. New Zealand dollar obviously now has flipped long on the COT report. We saw the strength starting to come in. We have only just managed to get down to support, which seems to at the moment be holding. So waiting for some New Zealand dollar strength to come through, but I would still be shorting it until we get anything from the euro that says otherwise. This was obviously just that knee-jerk reaction to ECB, which is all undone. They've done them all across the board as we were expecting them to happen, but it just took a bit longer on some of them than expected. We haven't got any New Zealand dollar news this week, but we have got Aussie dollar unemployment, and we have got the Aussie dollar monetary statement on tomorrow morning. And the Aussie does affect the New Zealand dollar, so we get those two moving in tandem together. So I would expect some kind of movement probably on that one this week as well, powering up the New Zealand dollar hopefully. Euro US dollar is short. We had the big push up off the back of that the back of the nonsense news, which has faded straight back to there. So again, US dollar strength, continuation of US dollar strength. Obviously, looking for this one to come back down and challenge these lows. Doubt it's going to suddenly drop. I think we're probably going to need to get a pullback on that before we move down again. But at the moment, we're just kind of solidly pushing hard down. So any shorts you've got on that, up to you whether you want to leave them. Obviously, it's down to personal preference, really. If you want to hold it all the way back down to there, or you want to get out and get back in, get out, get back in. Obviously, if you ride it down, getting out and getting in, getting out and getting in, you're going to make 3 or 4 times more money going short by exiting positions and adding them back on again. But yeah, always short on that one. Pound odd. So pound is a long, obviously. So looking for long opportunities. We had that lovely long from last week, which I got out of. Same with the pound New Zealand. I rode the pound New Zealand rather than the pound odd, but it was the same move. Nice bounce off the 24. Got nicely extended on the 4 hour, and that's out. So looking for long opportunities on that. Already gotten into it and out of it last week. So waiting for some pullbacks to long. Probably going to want to do it on a lower time frame now. because you're probably not going to get extended on 4 hour again, because I would imagine this thing's going to just want to continue to move to the upside now. So pound odd and pound New Zealand longs. Pound CAD still a long, but this one's not really going anywhere at the moment. We're kind of sitting sideways on the moving averages, sort of chopping around a little bit, depending obviously what happens. Potentially that could affect the CAD from an oil perspective, but again, difficult to tell with the CAD what's going to happen, but I would be looking really for long opportunities on this one more than shorts. Again, last opportunity we had was down here. They don't come up that often at the moment with this one with the CAD, because it's not moving that much. So waiting for pullbacks, looking for long opportunities on that one. Pound Swiss, looking for kind of longs, but at the moment I would steer clear of the Swissy a little bit. If we're going to get massively extended, there is a chance that we'll just go into an accumulation and put in a second leg. So difficult, the Swiss franc. Again, once this week's over, we'll probably have a clearer understanding of what's going on, because it seems to me from what is being said that it's either going to happen this week or it's not going to happen this week. So the Swissy could well just unravel completely. So pound, I've got a long bias on, but I want it to be very nicely set up, very nicely extended before I really look at opportunities on that one. Pound yen, same thing. Be careful with the yen. Pound New Zealand is a long from last week, which has played out, and the pound US dollar is a short. Actually, the pound US dollar is actually neutral, but if you're going to give credit to any currency, the US dollar is always going to beat any currency out there. So if the US dollar is going to power up, it's going to push the pound down. So you can kind of take this one anyway. I've got the EA set up to trade both directions on this. So any extensions in either direction, it will be longing them or shorting them for me. So I'm taking this in both directions. But again, not taking anything while we're hovering around in the middle. Looking for some extensions to the downside. Got a little support potentially down there, what we might get a bounce from if we can get down there. Failing that, coming down to here. 50% retracement, which is going to be basically 125 ADR and that gap. So if we can get down to there, that might be a nice little H1 M5 reversal down there. The New Zealand's obviously are all officially longs now. So we've started the movement. We are getting a bit caught up with the CAD at the 24 at the moment. We've gone into an accumulation and put a little reversal alert in there on the 4 hour. So kind of want to see this one, see what this one does. But you can see where we're bouncing here. We've come straight off of support. And this is an area we obviously broke through and tried multiple times to get through. So it's quite a strong support, that, which turned into a strong resistance. We've attempted it twice and rejected. So obviously Canadian dollar could well power up on oil. So we'll see what happens with this one. But it's whether or not we get more strength on the CAD than we are going to get on the New Zealand. The fact that the New Zealand has flipped long on the COT report is more of an indication of long-term gradual growth rather than big spiky moves, which is what we tend to see on the CAD, because the CAD gets affected by oil prices quite a lot. So if we're going to see some strength coming through on the CAD, there is every opportunity this one could come down again. As you can see, obviously it's been a lot weaker, the New Zealand dollar, than the CAD, but the New Zealand dollar has been weak overall anyway. So unsure on this one. Officially, it's a long. So any kind of pullback that takes us below that level, I would start to worry. But if we're going to pull back to sort of ADR, potentially the market structure on this one obviously is going to do that. So we will see what happens with it. But at the moment, a little bit neutral on the New Zealand dollar CAD. New Zealand dollar Swiss obviously is coming down because the Swiss franc's just going to batter everything at the minute, same as the yen. So regardless of bias on these, this week you want to just be very, very careful of yen and Swissy. US dollar, obviously, it's always a short. New Zealand. This is a long against a long now from a COT perspective. So in effect, you can kind of trade it in both directions. The US dollar is always going to be stronger of the two currencies. So when it's powering up and it gets us extended to the downside, you may well get into a squeeze scenario as we had here. Obviously, it will always play out for you at some point. You'll always get that pullback because if we squeeze down to there, we've got to get out of our positions, which gives us the pullback, which gives us the exit. But take extensions that are big. So take 25s, 20s, rather than 68s or 30s. Give it a good amount of room before you wait for those pullbacks. And all the US dollars are longs. So the US dollar CAD obviously is a long. We've not had an opportunity on that since we were way back down here. The US dollar Swiss and the US dollar yen at the moment obviously are going to be fairly neutral. You see how much strength is coming in on the yen. It's beating the US dollar down at the minute. So massive, way more movement on the yen than there is on anything else at the moment. US dollar Swiss will often go into an accumulation in times like this because obviously we're getting strength on both the currencies at the same time, which just makes us go sideways. And as you can see, that is what happens an awful lot of the time on the Swissy, US dollar Swiss. So kind of got to wait for news. News will moves the market. So when we get extended off of the back of news, i.e. FOMC, then get in. Yeah, get in off the back of news. So yes, that's it across the board. No opportunities so far today. Not set up on anything on the 4 hours. Not set up on anything on... Oh, the hourlies are all setting up now. There we go. And obviously, anything here... It's up to you what you want to do with the ends. You know, everybody's got their own opinion on what they want to do. But the yen seems to be powering up with risk off kind of money flooding into it. So... It's not unusual in these sorts of instances to see 225s, is it? We've seen it many, many times today. So, thoughts on gold today? Well, I'd be long in gold, but I'd probably want to see a little bit of a pullback on it. I think with plays like this, gold is a long at the moment. Purely from a perspective of where we are with what's going on in the world, you're more likely to see a spike in gold prices than a drop. We haven't really moved far since kind of middle of last year. So we've had this high put in May last year. We had this stupid spike, which was irrelevant, so just move down to there. So that's kind of where your range is. The tightest part of the range has been in there. So we've been happily trading there for best part of a year. We are slightly moving up and we're breaking out to new highs. For me, with this one, if I was going to get into gold, I'd be looking to place pending orders on it. So assuming that we are going to get the move up, I'd have a limit order down there. Assuming that we are going to fade and pump, I'd have a pending order above the highs there, and I'd be scaling in on a pending order above the highs there. I wouldn't want to just get into the market where we are because it's extended at the moment. But you know, when gold gets extended and it really wants to go, it will just go. So I'd be looking for long opportunities at the moment, based on the fact that we may get money pulled out of other things and put into tangible assets. And gold is one of the things that always does very, very well. So, but, you know, it's early days. Nothing's happened yet, has it? So it's the old buy the rumour, sell the news, or other way around, depending on obviously what you want to do and what your opinions are. But I think at the moment I'd be looking for a pullback and then long opportunity on it. You don't want to chase it out the gates like this. But don't know. I don't trade it. The reason I don't trade gold is because I just get stung by it. If you're going to use a stop, fine. Look for a potential pullback and some signs of strength there, and maybe just stick a nice decent stop on it and assume you got it right and go from there. Back down to where we accumulated and broke from, somewhere down there, probably good, with a little stop under the lows. But you know what they do with stops, they come and take them out. So you want to give yourself a little bit of a wide berth, so smaller lot sizing, wider stops, to give this thing time to breathe, because it does do ridiculous things very regularly. It's a beast, absolute beast, which is what attracts people to it, because it's so volatile. But with high volatility comes high risk. When you're position trading, you want things which are a little bit more stable. You want moves which are more calculated and repeat themselves over and over again, rather than things which are erratically going crazy like gold does. So, but where we are right now, obviously, we're struggling at these highs. So we'll see what happens. If you get a decent close below the low today, below today's low, yeah, you're probably coming back down to these levels. If you get a decent close above today's high, you're probably going to go. And then we're going to see what happens when we get up to sort of 125, 150 ADR today. So, yeah, difficult. As I said, I don't trade it myself, so I'm not really an expert in it. But you can see what it's doing. It's sideways at the moment. We're very, very stable. Gold prices are gradually rising, but very, very stable. So you could literally, every time you get extended on the RSI, you could take a trade and you make money out of it at the moment. But that's because at the moment we've got stability in gold. When we don't have stability in gold, that's when you get hurt. So, but yeah, I'd be more inclined to long than short at the moment, just because of where we are and what's going on. So, but we'll see. Right, so that's it across the board. At the moment, I'm waiting for opportunities. Hourlies, we've got extensions now. I'll quickly whiz through these ones while we're on. They're all yen based. Aussie yen, massive extension, 125 hit, and we're starting to pull back. So just had a reverse alert on that one. Just be careful with these. I'm just going to check my EA in a minute and just see what I've got set up, and I might pause a few of these just in case. CAD yen, not going to get a reverse alert on this one for a while. It's well extended away because of the speed of that movement. It is bouncing nicely off 125. So we'll see what happens with that one. Euro Swiss, short. Euro yen, just starting to get a little bounce. There's a little bit of weakness coming through on the yen at the moment. Just a little pause. Pound yen, just had a reverse alert on that one as well. New Zealand dollar Swiss, not quite getting there on that one. And New Zealand dollar yen. So again, these are all coming off of 125 ADR. But, just bear in mind, this could well be, and quite possibly is, the pullback ready for the second leg. So, if in doubt, stay out. All right. So I'm going to adjust the EA today. I'm just going to see what I've got set up. What I don't want to do is overexpose myself on the yen or the Swiss franc. So I'm just going to see what I've got set up on the EA and maybe reduce risk, reduce the risk of getting into any new trades on the Swissy and the yen, just until we get a little bit of stability and a little bit more information about what's going to happen this week with the Russian sort of tensions. And obviously be aware of US dollar this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So an hour and a half after market open, we've got some movement on US dollar potentially with Bullard speaking. And then 4:15, we've got Lagarde speaking as well. Now, on these euros, obviously, we were expecting this move that we had off of the back of the euro rates remaining as expected, which they came out 2 days later and said, you've overreacted to this completely. And then obviously the market went, oh yeah, which is what I was expecting to happen because there was no reason for that move. It was nothing positive about the euro, so why on earth they would pump it, I've no idea. But so these have all started to play out now. So Lagarde could come out and say something this afternoon bullish. With what's going on in Russia, it's difficult. I'm not sure she would want to really inflate the euro at the moment. But just bear in mind we have reversed this move. So we might see a little bit of strength coming through on the euro pairs. But again, with the euro, I'm always looking for extensions to the upside to short it rather than looking for extensions to the downside to long it. So any pushes we get off of Lagarde to the upside that manage to get us extended, I'd be looking for short opportunities on those. I don't think we're going to get anything because obviously they're all absolutely slaughtered and embedded down at the lows. But yeah, all done what I said they were going to do, but they just took absolutely ages. But the same thing, I got the US dollar wrong last week, didn't I? I was expecting that to dump on Thursday, and it just did that silly whipsaw, and then it started going. So things just seem to be taking a little bit longer at the moment than expected. So, but anyway, we had a good week. We've banked loads of money. So just keep an eye on your RSI extensions, and obviously get ready to get into some more. So we're flat for now, waiting until potentially this afternoon. Well, I'm pretty flat, just because obviously I banked so much last week on Friday. But that's the way it goes, yeah. So we tend to get with the way that I trade. If you're trading the way that I trade, you get flat periods and then you get everything banked at once. So we're building positions, as the name sort of indicates. I'm a position trader, so I'm building positions, and you're waiting for those positions to come to fruition. So you tend to get prolonged periods where you're just waiting for paydays, basically. And we got the paydays on Friday. So at the moment, we're just waiting for new positions to get added. So completely flat. Just banked that one this morning, which was CAD Swiss. We're now flat on CAD Swiss as well. So yeah, I'm flat there. I've got one position running on Euro odd long. That's on a trend pullback. Pound US, I've got one position running short. And I've got a Euro US dollar and a Euro pound. So yeah, I'm pretty flat. But as I say, I'm going to go through these. I'm just going to evaluate where we are with these. So things like the Swiss yen, that one's probably going to be all right, actually. But what other Swissies have I got? As you can see, I don't really trade the Swiss. Yeah, so I'm pretty okay. H1M5, I haven't got anything that's really going to be affected, yen or Swiss-wise. The reason I don't run the EA on many Swiss and yen pairs is because you get these massive squeezes when we get risk on, risk off initially flicking. So I run Swiss yen purely because of the fact that these two will battle each other when we get a risk on or a risk off change, which gives you that type of movement, and that gives me opportunities to get out, obviously. So I've got no others running on there. US dollar Swiss, again, that will be volatile. So I've got a couple of yens. I've got 3 yens running on here. So I'm just going to... these are H4M15. So I might pause a couple of these. Yeah, I'm going to have a think about what I'm going to do on them. New Zealand dollar Swiss, that should be all right. But I haven't got any others. I've got US dollar Swiss on as well. That should be all right. So yeah, I might pause these yens just until we know what's going on with these, because I don't really want to get into positions on these long. If we are going to get any kind of conflict, I think the yen's probably going to power up. So I don't want to get stuck in as a multi-week squeeze on 3 yen pairs. So I'm just going to have a look at where the RSIs are on these. And then evaluate, really. And probably just leave one running. Whichever one I think is going to be the best. But anyway, I'll have a look at that. I'll put a note in the Telegram group what I'm going to do on that with the yens. But just want to be a bit careful. If you go long on 3 yen pairs at the same time, and the yen goes into a squeeze for 2 weeks, that's going to really, really hurt. I don't mind going into a squeeze on 1 yen pair because I've only got a single exposure, and I'll pick the strongest currency, which I think is going to be battling against that, which would probably at the moment be the pound. In fact, it would probably be the CAD, to be honest, because if we are going to get any sort of issues with oil, CAD is probably going to come out better because oil prices will go up. So CAD will probably come out better against the yen than the pound will. So I'll probably keep CAD yen on, but I'll have a think on that one. But yeah, just be careful until we know more of what's going on. Sitting on your hands is a good thing to do, or just trade really small time frames. Yeah. So do some M15. Look at M15 RSI extensions and get in on M1. Yeah, really tight. Yeah, M15 extension, drop down to M1, reversal alert, take a bit of profit. That sort of thing. If you want to, do what you like, but that's probably more what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to concentrate on indices, looking for pullbacks on indices. And short these guys. God, they're really not happy today, are they? Lovely pullback on the DAX. I'm just going to take a quick manual short on that. I really fancy these to be a big day today, to the downside, all these indices. We've already put in a humongous day already, but strength of move that we've had today at the open could well turn into one of those guys today. I think big strong push down 150, 175. I don't think that's off the cards today based on this movement. Don't forget, this is a Globex movement we're seeing here. This is the market's closed in the US, and we've had this much movement off of a closed market. Wait till New York opens. If New York has got the same sentiment as London, that thing could come way down. And we have broken the lows. Yeah. So remember last week, I was saying until we broke one of these lows or highs, yeah, we had no directional bias. We now have directional bias. So next target on the S&P is down there. So we could well do that in 2 to 3 days. This thing could come down like a house of cards. Same with the NASDAQ. We've broken the lows. So market structure is confirmed short now. We haven't got as far to go on the NASDAQ. So not looking good, is it, for indices? But we got the expected bounces. So it's all playing out as we thought it was going to do. We just need to get confirmation of continuation. So looking to buy pullbacks, looking to short any pops on all indices at the moment. Right, that's it for today. Well, not for today, for this morning. I'll be back at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then we will look at what's gone on this morning, where we are, and just see basically if we've got any decent setups during the London session. But we've had a big, nice reach this morning. So we'll see what happens with the rest of London. I suspect they're probably going to hold it where it is and wait and see what happens with New York. So New York will either come on and reverse what we've had in London, or they will agree with London sentiment and will push harder today. So I suspect, based on obviously the speed of that movement this morning and the amount of repositioning we've had this morning, we could well have exactly the same thing happening during New York this afternoon. Getting closer to paying my mortgage off. Yeah, I didn't take that, Andy. I should have done. For those that don't know, what I was planning to do on the S&P was short it on the pops and build a massive position when we pull back to here. I decided not to. I decided to take the positions off and just keep adding them back on, which I've more than doubled the account. But yeah, I didn't do that move. The plan was on this pullback was to start adding with a 5k account, just adding positions in until I got to either blowing the account on a break or paying my mortgage off on a collapse, and I decided not to do it. Because like most traders, I have this problem of holding positions, and I'm not a long-term trader. So when I see things sitting here with like 12-15% profit, I put it in the bank, and I'll put it again. I'll get it again. Yeah. Every time we pull back, I get in again. Every time we pull back, I'm getting in. Yeah. I'm getting in on every pullback. So all I'm doing is I'm making the money over and over again. So if this continues to go, I'm just going to continue to make money. I'm just not going to do that mortgage paying off thing, which I should do really. But I as most people, I think have a very, difficult time. I've said this before, shorting indices. Indices are not something we short. Yeah. Indices are manufactured to go up. It's very difficult, apart from COVID, ignore that one, but it's very difficult to reset your mindset into a bear market in something that literally is manufactured for a long investment. But when we get these collapses that are depression creating, they tend to be very, very fast, like COVID. At the moment, we've got the start of that happening. If war kicks in as well, this thing could come down so fast. And if you were to put a big amount of money short on this thing, put a stop up there, close your charts and not look at it for 3 or 4 weeks, I think you'd be a rich person. My problem is I can't do that because I'm in here all day, every day. So I have to take profit. But I still think bias is short. We're in a bear market now. Until this thing proves me wrong. But I'll be shorting every pot until we go the other way. And obviously the other thing I've got now as well, which I didn't have previously, is my Apex funded account. And I can easily grab 2 to 3K a week out of that. So I can make 10K a week out of my Apex funded account without having to risk my own money, which is beautiful. If I get that wrong, that Apex account, if I get that wrong and I go $3,000 into drawdown on it, I lose the account. But like last week, I made 2.5K, 2-3 or something. So I'm lucky that I've got a funded account that I can milk on the futures market, shorting indices. So I'm going to use that to my advantage as well. A lot of money to be made in a bear market. That's the beauty of trading. We make money in a bull market. We make money in a bear market. You just need to know which one we're in. At the moment, we're there. So we'll see this afternoon. So I'll be trading futures again this afternoon. Short bias at the moment on everything indices related. Keep on shorting. Right, so I'll be back at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll have a look at what's happened in New York, in London rather, and then we will have a look at the futures market and see if we can make some money off the futures this afternoon. So give us a thumbs up if you like the stream. Hopefully we'll see you at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and just be very careful with these yens this morning. Don't get too bullish on these yens at the moment. We're possibly looking at a decent drop on these things. So just be careful out there and wait for very, very, very strong extensions, and probably concentrate on the rest until we know what's going on. Yeah. All right. So have a good morning, everybody. I'll be back at 2 o'clock as usual. Hopefully see you then. And we'll do a bit more futures this afternoon. All right. Have a good one.